The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 12th day of November 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamel Hartman, and we'll have a news break from Teo Dill in a bit. But happy Tuesday to everybody. Oh, sorry, Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Hopefully you all had a wonderful long weekend, if you had Monday off as well, like we did. But welcome back. We've got a lot to discuss, and I think some opinions will be shared today that may really uncover how we deal with racism and racists in little old Bermuda. Yeah, I'm talking about Governor Ron DeSantis, or I'm not going to say what they call him in Florida, but we'll be discussing that. But how's everyone feeling today? It is another day closer to the end of another calendar year. Hopefully everyone's feeling healthy and happy, and you know, it's not the traditional hump day because you had a day off yesterday, most of you in traditional workspaces. But anyway, greetings, everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today is, like I said, we're going to be discussing some things going on in the community. The Daily Play is a things you should know. It's going to be, what's Wednesday? It's music today. It's music. Daily Play is going to be music today. Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, folks, let's jump into the conversation. Questions of the morning. What are your thoughts on controversial figures being allowed to speak freely in Bermuda? And do you support banning controversial figures from speaking in Bermuda? Like, do you support banning controversial figures from speaking in Bermuda? Now, you all may be asking, well, where's this coming from, Jamel? So basically, PwC Insurance is having an event, and the guest speaker is going to be the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. And people have an issue with this. Some people in Bermuda have an issue with this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me just give you some background. So, two major advocacy organizations in CURB, Citizens Uprooting Racism in Bermuda, and Out Bermuda, which represents the LGBTQ plus community, released a joint statement criticizing the invitation of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to the PwC Insurance Summit, which is taking place in Bermuda at Hamilton Princess. They say that while he may have been invited to speak on insurance and governance, his broader political record, especially regarding LGBTQ plus rights, diversity and inclusion, and racial equity, cannot be ignored. The organizations argue that hosting him here undermines Bermuda's values of justice, compassion, and equality. Throw equality in the trash. But anyway, especially given the island's own ongoing journey with race and inclusion. So let me actually read the entire statement from them. So the joint statement on the PwC Insurance Summit goes as follows. As organizations committed to equity, justice, and belonging, citizens uprooting racism in Bermuda curb, and Out Bermuda expressed deep concern about the decision to platform Florida Governor Ron DeSantis at the upcoming PwC Insurance Summit in Bermuda. While we understand that Governor DeSantis has been invited to speak on matters of insurance and governance, his broader record cannot be separated from his presence. He has championed and enacted laws and policies that target LGBTQ+ people, restrict access to gender-affirming healthcare, silence educators, and punish diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. His actions have also undermined racial equity and censored teaching and dialogue about systemic racism and historical injustice. To give such a voice a platform in Bermuda, a country still healing from its own history of racial inequality and striving to create a more inclusive future, undermines the values of justice, compassion, and equality that many in our community and corporate sector hold dear. True allyship means more than sponsorship or symbolic gestures. Leadership in every sector carries a responsibility to act with care for the wider community. Corporate and community leaders must ensure that voices they elevate reflect a commitment to dignity, equality, and respect for all people. Looking ahead, we encourage event organizers and corporate leaders to make choices that reflect Bermuda's shared values of fairness, compassion, and belonging, and to use their platforms to uplift those who advance those principles in word and action. All right. So you've been given some background, right? You've been given the statement. Now, the central issue isn't just about a guest speaker. It's about what voices Bermuda chooses to amplify. Curb and Out Bermuda believe that giving a platform to Governor DeSantis sends the wrong message about what Bermuda stands for as a country that is healing, as it said. So the question becomes, does inviting controversial figures align with free dialogue, or does it legitimize harmful policies? DeSantis' record and the reaction. So let's speak about that. He's known for restricting gender-affirming healthcare for trans people. Yeah. Limiting diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in schools and corporations. Let me just, I don't know what I can say because I did work for an organization in Florida, and people are scared. Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis' style of governance scares the living daylights out of people. One of the organizations I worked for was having a diversity conference, and they had to change it to basically make it seem like an arts conference. Yeah, I'm telling no lies. Also, supporting laws that restrict discussions about race and LGBTQ plus identity in classrooms. Yeah. Curb and Out Bermuda argue that corporate responsibility means thinking about the social message attached to event speakers. I don't disagree. Corporate leadership and community values must go hand in hand, right? Now, Bermuda has a reputation as an international business hub that depends on both economic leadership and moral integrity. The statement challenges companies like PwC and event organizers to model true allyship, not just symbolic support. Well, you all know it. Brother Jay, I've been telling you all about this symbolic stuff. I've been telling you all, but you don't want to listen because you want to feel good about everything. You want people, oh, they're putting their name on something. They're giving you a couple of dollars. They're putting their logo. They're changing the color of their logos. This is not about PwC. This is about how systems operate. This is not, none of this surprises me, and it doesn't upset me because I know what we're dealing with here. You feel me? I think there's some larger questions that we need to ask here, though. Because while I appreciate what Curb and Alt Bermuda is saying, there has to be a balance, a very delicate one. And I think this situation we cannot let die for a couple reasons. I'll tell you in a few. But how should we balance free speech versus social responsibility? Should economic partnerships override ethical concerns about guest speakers and sponsors? And what role should local advocacy groups play in holding corporations accountable to community standards? So the question of the morning for you all, very simple. What are your thoughts on controversial figures being allowed to speak freely in Bermuda? And do you support banning controversial figures from speaking in Bermuda? Well, yes. Does anybody in the audience, does anyone in the audience know can you name one person who's been banned from speaking in Bermuda? Can you name one person who's been banned from speaking in Bermuda? Yes or no? Do you know who? And this is where I believe the racism plays a role and comes to the forefront. This is where I think it's important for us to understand the role of race in all of this. Because if you don't know who's been banned from Bermuda, then do we really have an argument on understanding of what's happening today? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was banned from traveling to Bermuda due to concerns about his scheduled speech, which may have incited unrest. Yeah, remember that? Most recently, I believe it was 2015, he was known as the Irritated Genie, Kimathi, was placed on the so-called Bermuda stop list. As the Minister of Home Affairs at the time, Michael Fay, declared him undesirable under the Immigration and Protection Act 1956, citing his speech which condemned homosexuality and interracial marriage. Well, from what I remember, it was also because he went against the act. He was selling things and didn't have permission. That's allegedly, that's what I believe. I read somewhere. But notice something, folks, about those two people who were banned. They were Black. They were Black. Also notice who the government of the day was. I don't think there's a history of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party putting a ban on someone. But I tell you what, prove me wrong, but I highly doubt the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party government would actually ban a Ron DeSantis. Some people know where they need to eat. So again, the question of the morning for you, audience, what are your thoughts on controversial figures being allowed to speak freely in Bermuda? And do you support banning controversial figures from speaking in Bermuda? Let me give you my opinion. I have no problem with it. I have no problem with I tell you all the time. So none of you should be surprised by what I'm about to say. But I have no problem entering rooms with 100 people who think differently from me. However, I'm no fool. I'm not the smartest apple on the tree, but I'm not going to enter a room of 100 people who are inciting violence and harm against me. See, the speech I have no problem with. It's what that speech says. I think we have an issue here because this is subjective, and we have to decide as a community what we truly want. Because I guarantee you all, see, this is where it gets interesting. I've called it out for years, these companies changing their color of their logos, whether it's Black History Month or LGBT Pride, whatever it is. You all love optics. I worked for an organization in Florida. And I said it was one of the most racist, no, I'm sorry. I said it's the most racist organization I've ever worked for. DEI, which you all know I'm not down with DEI for reasons like this. DEI doesn't eliminate racism, nor does it solve equity. You know what solves those kind of things? Economic empowerment. The words of Marcus Garvey. That's what solves those problems. Building your community, not playing victim over what others do or say to you. Harsh words. But I'm sorry. And let me just be very clear about this. When we were fighting to end conscription, I keep telling you all, our fight wasn't about inclusion, being included. We were trying to be excluded from a club we didn't want to be a part of. So no, I said to good friend Carl Azul this morning, miss me with equality. We're not equals. We shouldn't be fighting for equality. But equity, yeah, that's different. But we have to build that, folks, from within. But back to Governor DeSantis. I think he's the worst governor in the union. Personally, I do. But I don't know if banning him from speaking, the same way how I don't agree with banning the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as someone said in the comments, Marcus Garvey, nor Ayo Kimathi, the irritated genie. I just don't believe it. Because at some point, free speech becomes subjective. I truly believe that there are some lines, and when you begin to incite violence, I vehemently disagree with the book ban, I call it, in Florida. But I've said it on this show, and many people have said it, it's not the responsibility of others to educate our children. Well, I disagree with it. I'm okay. Because those books can be read at home. You can't take they didn't take the ability for those books to be sold to us away. So again, I appreciate the fight back, but I'm not here to make people feel good. I'm not here to tell you, yes, let's protest and whatnot. I want to spend my time fighting for us as a community. Not even just Black people, but people who want better for our community. And that to me is going to give us the results. The works of a Titan Express and what they do to educate people of all ages. The educators in the audience, like an Ellen Kate Horton, and the many others out here who do their part to understand that. I think it was Junior Birchall, known as Ajala Madele, said it years ago. We can't send our children to our enemies to be educated and expect them to know better. Ron DeSantis does a lot of things I disagree with. A lot. He says a lot of things. But at the end of the day, folks, as a person who takes what I do very seriously, having discussions, shaping narratives, I'm not interested in telling anyone else they need to be silent or they can't speak. What I am interested in is us developing arguments, educated arguments, and perspectives that can defend our positions, that can push back on what's being said. See, these are the same tactics that were used against Black people. We cannot go from being the oppressed to being the oppressor just because we don't like what people say. Again, I'm not excusing what I deem is inciting violence. I'm not excusing that. But we've got to be careful. This is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan, Express, and Secure. Let's go to the audience. I've been doing a lot of talking. Dorian says, at one time, Louis Farrakhan was banned. Indeed, he was. Ms. Ellen K. Horton says, Farrakhan was banned. Indeed, he was. Rashida Godwin says, Marcus Garvey was banned from speaking Bermuda. See, I did not know this. Yeah. Suzanne Ingham says, let me put that to the side, too long. I do not agree with Ron DeSantis speaking here. He does not know us, nor is he part of us or our community, but he's not speaking to our community. He's speaking about how Florida as a destination that's been ravaged by hurricanes in the recent years. That's what he's speaking to. I think we have to understand what he's here to speak about as well. There you go, Dorian. This is the question. Who will deem them as controversial? Who? It's subjective. Do you, yes or no, audience, do you support banning controversial figures from speaking in Bermuda? Yes or no? Just a quick yes or no. Rosalind Famous says, let them speak, but also let them deal with the consequence. Yeah, I appreciate people who might be showing up to protest. Let them hear your voice. Let them know you disagree with their politics. But banning them from speaking? Nah. This should help people open their eyes. This should help people open their eyes. And again, this is not about PwC. This is about the broader picture of corporations. It is. Because I say it all the time. Everybody cares about their feelings, and we like to make people feel like crap because they don't publicly support how we feel. I'm gonna be real with you. When we were fighting to end conscription, I didn't care that most of you didn't support us. What bothered me is that some of you were honestly so indoctrinated that you refused to educate yourself. What bothered me is that some of you were so anti-colonial, but yet supported one of the most, if not the most colonial organization in Bermuda to continue to invalidate Black man's rights. And you will say, well, white people, no, it was a disproportionate amount of Black males conscripted. Because I know people like, well, you fought to end conscription. Yeah, because we didn't want to be included in a system. You have never ever heard me talk about fighting for inclusion. I don't ever, let me be very clear, let me look in the camera. I don't ever want a job because I'm Black. I don't ever want you to support me because I'm Black. I want you to support me because you believe that I can help you, that I can add value to your life. Now, that's not demeaning anyone else, because there are people who have fought for us to enjoy what I do today. And I appreciate that. This is not to invalidate any of that. And I appreciate people who fight for what they believe, having done so. You know, I was just telling someone last night, I could never go to prison. I'm not going to, but I would for my freedom, for my beliefs. Truth is, so many people who fight for these things these days, whether it's the D, the E, the I, or the LGBTQ or whatever, so many people who are fighting today, you all ain't down for your causes. If you're not willing to die, go to prison, lose your job and career, that's why I can't take too many people in corporate spaces seriously with the DEI stuff. You all say, oh, you're being extreme, Jamal. Nah. I was willing to give it. I literally gave up everything The Marshall family literally gave up everything. If you ain't willing to go so far for your cause, you ain't truly done. You're all about optics. You're about show. You're about likes and follows and shares. But I understand you got bills to pay. I get it. Some of us understood the main cause. Yeah. Let's go back to the comments. We've got Charles H. Jefferson II says, I'm not a proponent of banning anyone from speaking in Bermuda. However, I believe that organizations should be sensitive to the community that they're part of. Absolutely, Charles. But at the end of the day, these same organizations, they don't have to. Because what they'll do is, let me just throw them a couple of dollars for Pride Month. Let me throw them a couple of dollars for Black History Month. Let me do this, let me do that. That's how they get over. And Larry says it here. Larry Marsh says, the economic impact ignores the hypocrisy. This is what we're dealing with, bro. This is what it is. Say all we want about the unions of today, but I grew up in the 80s. When people were fighting and protesting, they were putting their lives on the line. They were laying down in front of Big Mac trucks. That was my first view of what protests looked like. When they picketed, you weren't getting to the airport. They shut stuff down. We don't do that anymore. We do stuff for likes and follows, man. We do stuff to make people feel good. I'm not trying to offend you, but if I am, what they say, a hit dog hollow or something, you know what I mean. Shucks. We've got Michael Daniel says, when you ban someone from speaking, you take away our opportunity to ask questions. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, do not support a complete ban, but there has to be exceptions for banning these people. What if KKK came to Bermuda to spew an anti-Black message? I'm okay with that. Here's the thing with me, folks. This is what we do every morning. This is what we do. If they can have an anti-Black message, I can have a pro-Black message. That's how we respond to it. I'm not a believer in wanting to shut people up and shut people down. And I know that may make some people uncomfortable. There are people who say things regular, like I'm like, man, this person really hates me. But then my response is, okay, I got to work harder and try to empower myself and my family and my community to make sure that that hate doesn't overshadow or override or supersede the love and the work that I can do. We've got, Dorian says, people want to ban him, but still visit and spend their money in Florida, the state he represents. See, they want to take that Miami trip down their Carnival right now, I think. Go to Disney World. You support him. I mean, I think Disney mentioned a record. They still go there to take that cruise that was it the Reggae Jam something cruise everyone was just on. They still do it. Yeah. Miss Alan Kate Horton says, Io Kimathi of Washington, D.C. was put on the stop list in 2015 as he was labeled someone who was labeled for giving hate speeches. Yeah. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, it will be interesting to see if the same organizations will be willing to take PwC sponsorship dollars in action. Of course. Of course. And this is, Charles, look, you know what? We got to go to the news break. We'll continue. We got to go to the news break. This is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Let's show them some love. We're going to continue the conversation. But folks, these are the real conversations we got to have. And that's not going to make everyone happy. And let me just say, I've got love for advocacy groups. CURB, doing the work of the people. Alt Bermuda has reshaped how we look at humans. But I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to have honest conversations and share my perspective, whether it's an agreement or disagreement with you. Let's show some love to Titan Express and Secure. Then we'll go to the news break with Teo Dill, and we'll come back. We'll continue the conversation.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All righty. Thanks again for tuning in, folks. If you've been rocking with us this morning, appreciating the conversation so far, do us a favor, whether you're streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, or Instagram, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We're going to go over to Teo for the Daily Hour news break. And again, don't go anywhere because we're going to continue this most important community conversation.
Good morning, I'm Teo Dill, and welcome to your TDH News Break, brought to you by our friends at Peoples, who've grown with you all the way from family care to whole life wellness, because good health blooms in the right environment. A 28-year-old woman's been missing at sea after being last sighted exactly a week ago near Bermuda. The French sailor's name is Marie Decoube, and she, along with her American navigator Nathan Perrins, reported they had low fuel to authorities before their vessel, the 37-foot sailboat, the SV Leona, disappeared from the grid. The pair had been sailing from Maine to Puerto Rico with a planned stopover on island last Thursday, but their last known position was about 16 hours from Bermuda when they just plain disappeared. Bermuda's Coast Guard and the U.S. Coast Guard started search operations, which have been unsuccessful so far. She previously shared a goal of completing a self-sufficient Atlantic tour. And in fintech news, 2 locally domiciled crypto companies have begun testing a BMA-compliant blockchain system, which would facilitate stablecoin rules on-chain, basically live, using proprietary new technology. Chainlink and Apex Group successfully ran the pilot system using Chainlink's proof of reserve and automated compliance engine. The new tech provides regulators real-time visibility into a stablecoin support and circulation, automating compliance checks live. It ran through the BMA's Innovation Hub and embedded Bermuda-specific policy requirements into the stablecoin's operation, which included monitoring for flagged wallet activity or unusual on-chain behaviors. Now, here is why this all matters. Stablecoins are pegged to currency that we all know, use, and trust, so they significantly lower the risk of use and are much more stable. Also, Apex Group services $3.5 trillion in assets. That's trillion with a T. So their market footprint is significant, to say the least. And Bermuda's hosting one of the 2 remaining official PGA Tour events for the year. That is tomorrow's Butterfield Bermuda Championship. Turns out that the concept of fairness, that everyone getting what they deserve, what they've earned, is something that's much more universally important than we may have thought, as in it doesn't just matter to human beings. So it turns out that the concept of fairness, that everyone should get what they deserve, what they've earned, is something that's much more universally important than we may have originally thought, as in it doesn't just matter to human beings. This is an experiment that's been run on dogs, birds, chimpanzees, and as you'll see here, for capuchin monkeys, where they're receiving cucumbers or grapes for doing a particular task, where grapes are much more preferable to the monkeys than cucumbers.
So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again.
So, yeah, it turns out that unfairness gets on everybody's nerves, including non-people. Now, weather-wise, the most consequential detail for today is that you're going to need a jacket. The air temps will not climb out of the 60s due to the recent passage of a cold front and a chilly west to northwest wind flow that's going to keep things cool for most of today. As of tomorrow, a few chunks of low pressure will give us some more rain and wind. So yeah, at this point, we're definitely all the way into winter. And that's your TDH News Break, brought to you by the great folks at Peoples. I'm Teo Dill. Back to the show.
That Teo boy, I don't know how he finds those stories, but my goodness, that was an interesting one. He says non-people. But thanks so much for that, Tay. Days of the year, folks. So here's a big announcement. Some of you know, if you are connected with me, I hate the term follow, but if you're connected with me on any of my personal socials, but it is National Book Award week. And I just want to share with you folks, I am releasing my first book. It's pretty much ready to go. So it's called The Journey Within. The foreword by Tamara Richardson. And some of the readers being Glenn Blakeney and the principal of Work Academy, David Horan, have given reviews of the book, but it's The Journey Within. And basically, as I mentioned in the book, this was really something when my mom was on her deathbed, literally 2 weeks from passing. I was alone with her as she was laying down in her bed. I said, Mama, I think I want to release a book. And she turned over. She was very weak and looked at me and said, about what? And I said, I don't know yet, but I want to make sure it's able to help people. And I think that idea actually came from Tamara Richardson some years ago, where she gave me an idea to write a book to help people. And at that time was, how to change the law in Bermuda, which was conscription. But with this book, it was really basically just quotes and affirmations. Like I wake up and repeat certain things to myself. And some of the quotes I've shared on this show and going way back to Hot 107.5 days and things I shared on Facebook and Twitter X or name a thing. And it really shares my journey through quotes and affirmations. And I hope that this book can empower and motivate and inspire others. It is the first book of 3 that will be released. This one, The Journey Within, just encapsulates so many things about my journey. And then there are 2 others that will be released. The Journey Within, it talks about relationships, talks about struggling. It's about mental health, things that we go through, I've been through. So looking forward to sharing that with all of you and getting it in your hands. And I'm appreciative of Keitha and Tiffany Durham and Tamara and Mr. David Horan and Glenn Blakeney and everyone who contributed to making sure that this book can become a reality and that I can share it with all of you. So I will keep you posted, but you can visit my website, jamalhartman.com, for more information on that. Some other news. I hope that all of you are, going to be out in some respect for Global Entrepreneurship Week next week. I will be the MC and host of the Wave of Opportunity pitch competition sponsored by Global Atlantic, along with the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation. I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship being an option and a way for all of us. So I'm looking forward to engaging people on that night as your host and, celebrating entrepreneurship, small businesses for Bermuda and Bermudians. So if you want to attend some of the GEW activities, just go to gew.bm to register. Please get out. As Craig Simmons, our favorite and beloved economist and professor, says often, entrepreneurship is definitely going to be our way out of the economic crisis that we are in. All right, let's thank you, Charles. Says congratulations, Jamal. Russell Famous says congratulations, and Ellen Kate Horton, Ms. Horton says very cool, read the book. Thank you, and I hope that all of you have an opportunity to read it and really kind of understand my journey a bit more through my words. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back after the break to continue this most important community conversation. I know we did have quite a few comments come through that I will be sure to read and go over. In the meantime, if you're streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, and make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Nautical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
At HSBC, how we do business in our community is as important to us as what we do for our community.
We are here at Hungry Bay with HSBC today. We're planted over 500 mangroves using 2 different methods. This work is very vital for our mangrove ecosystem and would not be possible without HSBC's generous support.
I am super happy that we have a team here of colleagues helping us replant some of the mangroves. Mangroves are critical for preserving coastal nature. And with recent hurricanes, they have been taken away by waves. By replanting them, we are really helping nature be at its best.
Thank you so much for HSBC for sponsoring the Microforest Project, but by extension, the Hungry Bay Restoration Project.
Thank you to all of the charities, corporate partners, and HSBC volunteers for your commitment to our community.
SCARS stands for Saving Children and Revealing Secrets, and we are a Bermuda nonprofit organization whose mission is to reduce the risk of child sexual abuse and to be an advocate and a voice for children who've been sexually molested, as well as their affected family. New media like the Daily Hour is really important in partnering with organizations like SCARS. It's another platform for us for awareness. There can be no radio silence as it relates to child sexual abuse, and we need as many initiatives as we can get. We need to keep this message alive. In terms of us and the work that we do, live engagement is good because it allows the audience to ask questions, to make comments, even to provide us with encouragement and support. What I love about the live engagement when SCARS is being interviewed by Jamel is just this feeling of safety, this feeling that he gets it. He cares about children. It's a connection.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jamel Hartman here. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations on a regular basis. Folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, I am having fun this morning. Phil says, So now I got to hear Jamel say, as I mentioned in the book. Yeah, Phil. Yeah, that's what Dr. Anthony Richardson says. Well done, congrats. And Suzanne Ingham says, that is so awesome, Jamel. Congratulations. I won all three. I'm excited for you. Thank you all. Honestly, thank you for your kind words. But big up to Keith Keynes, my business partner, and Tiffany Durham. They're the ones who've really done the work. They are the heroes in that, making sure that these messages can be shared with everyone. And I will actually use some of this stuff from the book as the daily inspiration today. And again, my hope is, I know people say, oh, he's always ranting or something. I really wake up and just want to help people. I want to make sure these conversations, even the conversation we're having today about speech, I hope it, I don't want to change anyone's mind. I just want to make us think about our arguments, right? People made me reflect on conscription and how we were fighting it, right? Glenn Blakeney would say it to me all the time when it came to it. And I forget, Teo corrected me last week. You catch more bees with honey. You know what I'm talking about, but honey, right? But I say that because there's no right or wrong way in so many things. Life is really about perspective, and then we make decisions based on, subjectivity. So many things are subjective, and at the end of the day, I believe slavery is wrong. I do. I think most people I surround myself with would think slavery is wrong, but I have to accept that not everyone does. And when I say accept it, it doesn't mean I accept that that person's right or their opinion's more valid. I accept that people think differently from me, which is why I try to understand people. I really, really, really want to understand people, especially people who think differently from me. I really have a desire to want to appreciate why this person feels this way. Because once I get there, it can actually help my approach and how I move going forward with this person. Silencing them isn't really going to give me the answer. Let's go back to the comments. And the question of the morning, folks, is what are your thoughts on controversial figures being allowed to speak freely in Bermuda? And I asked, do you support banning controversial figures from speaking in Bermuda, right? Let's go back. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says, where does it stop if the messages incite violence? Do you still allow them to speak? Well, I said that earlier. We have to, even that could be subjective, right? But if someone's literally saying in their speech, oh, we should go out and harm a specific group of people, then no, I mean, other laws in place. We should actually look at our laws to see if that language is lawful or not. That's where we need to be looking at it, right? So if I'm a black male and someone gets up on stage and I'm at the speech says, we need to kill the black male, then yeah, I think they're putting my life in danger. But are there not laws against that? And if there's not, that's where we should be focusing on. No, I'm not a lawyer. You are, Dr. Anthony Richardson. Help me out. Shamari Sky said, didn't they ban Rick Ross? I know when I was at Hot 107.5, I know it was a rapper or something that was coming to perform. And I think David Colonel Birch was the minister overseeing immigration at the time. I don't know if it was a ban. I just think they were not allowed to perform at the time. So I don't know if it was Rick Ross, but I know what you're speaking of. I remember that. Rhonda Trott says, I don't support stopping speech, including nonviolent, quote, hate speech. People have a right to go and attend others to protest. Keeping in mind, he's here on an economic summit. His views on social issues, in my opinion, isn't a factor. But as I said, those who want to protest him based on his social views have that right. Absolutely. I think we're aligned, Rhonda. I appreciate the protest. Let me be very clear. I support the protest. I do. Absolutely support the protest of the guest speaker, right? Because you don't get, in my opinion, to feel some way on social issues than be hyped up and presented as a different person on economic issues. You are the same person. You are the same person. So yeah, I support the right to do that. What else, audience? What else do you have for us? Rashida Godwin says it's called empathy, Jamal. What's she referring to? Because I talk a lot. I don't. What part, Rashida, are you talking about that I mentioned? Renee Sherilyn Simmons says Marcus Garvey wasn't allowed on island either, so I guess he was banned from speaking. He arrived here but couldn't get off the ship in 1937. Let's talk about that, because again, I mentioned earlier, as the oppressed, we don't want to become the oppressor, and all the bands of people pretty much took place under different governance, even from 2012 through 2017. The ban of Kimathi, the irritated genie, was not under a progressive Labour Party government. And let me be clear, I am not here to show any sort of love to the PLP as if they're the better people because they haven't banned people. Let me be very clear with that. What I'm simply stating is we have to go a bit deeper as who has banned people and who has not. Because one group will say they're the party of liberalism and free speech and this and that. Folks, a couple things I used to say on the show when we first started. There's no such thing as free speech. There's no such thing as speech without consequences. There's none, especially if you go against the grain. Ask me how I know, right? But another thing, it's subjective. I don't want to, again, inciting violence is one thing, right? But I want us to just think differently, because so many of our Black scholars have told us, if we read, it's not anyone else's responsibility to teach and educate our children. So while I may disagree with Governor DeSantis removing books from public schools or libraries or whatever, that just gives us an opportunity to be a better family and community and educate our own children. How we respond to this kind of mess is going to dictate and determine how we prosper. You feel me? All right. All right. So Rick Ross was the rapper. Thank you for that, cousin Mark Arthur C. Phillips. Shamari Sky says the world was so interconnected that banning people is pointless if you can't ban their YouTube channels. Yeah, I agree. Charles H.F. II says August 2009, Miami rapper Rick Ross was forced to cancel a show in Bermuda earlier this week when he was denied entry into the country after he was confused with the drug kingpin who bears the same name. Okay, so PLP, you got one. 2009. Yeah, thank you all for that. Thank you. I was, like I said, I was at Hot 175. I remember it was a rapper. I didn't realize it was Rick Ross or Ricky Rose or whatever he calls himself these days, the prison officer guy. We've got Rashida Godwin says, I'm referring to the part of empathy of when you said that you want to understand how people think and make their decisions, which means that you want to empathize with them. Yeah, thank you, Rashida. Sorry, I go so fast and sometimes you guys type and it comes through later. But yeah, I do empathize with people. Maybe I shouldn't, but I want to understand people. You know, we have to get to a place where we confront, address, or discuss things with those who disagree with us over always trying to popularize things and go viral on these things and have a parade about these things. Yeah. But some important things were said today. Some important things were said today. And I hope that they don't go over anyone's heads. Charles H. Jefferson II said something earlier. We may be mad at some of these corporations that engage with some of these people. but we're still going to accept their dollars if they show up, right? Folks, we'll accept blood money. That's just the time we're living in. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But we're not honest with ourselves. We're not honest with ourselves. We love to be in rooms and spaces where people make us feel good, where they validate our feelings, our views and perspectives. They don't challenge us. I am so grateful for my younger cousins and young men and women who are critical thinkers. You know, David Burt, Premier of Bermuda, said to me years ago, and this is where I agree with Mark Bean. He said to me earlier this year or last year, yeah, these young, I think they'll grow up. I said, what do you mean they'll grow up? They're not going to think like this in another few years. David Burt, Premier of Bermuda, said to me about 15 years ago, if not more, probably more. Mr. Hartman, not all laws are bad, you know, a bad David Burt impression, but basically he said to me that not all laws are bad, because at that time I just thought the worst of the law. But he was right. He was right. There are laws that may be archaic. There are things that we may disagree with. But that doesn't mean all is bad. And I'm encouraged by watching others evolve, that I know as long as people are not seeking public validation and the stroking of an ego, that they will evolve from caring about how people make them feel into how people move that impacts their lives. What do I mean by that? I've told you all for years, President Donald Trump doesn't bother me by what he says. He bothers me by the legislation and policies that he passes. That's what I care more about. It's like a relationship. A woman can tell me she loves me over and over and over. That's all good. But are you showing me how much you love me? Are the actions there? We love fancy words. That's why David Burt gets away with what he does, because we love a great orator. We love Barack Obama. He's a great orator. We've got to raise the bar. Because when we raise the bar, we begin to understand that we can manage our expectations a bit better. And when we raise the bar, we don't get to a point where we need to protest, because the people already know how we feel, so they won't even have the audacity to have a guest speaker that we would protest. You know, we were talking last week to Ray and I, and we spoke about how disrespectful it was for Premier David Burt to meet publicly with Bermuda Youth Connect, and a day later call an election, knowing that the people who they represent, that age group, wouldn't be able to vote. Audacity, right? Words and actions, folks. You all can think I'm just ranting, but I'm just saying. All right. Charles H. Jackson says, if you don't listen to the perspective of others and or have a conversation with them, that's the only way to change their minds or your own. We should always be open to learning. I think for me, though, Charles, it's not even about changing anyone else's mind. I take your point. I just want people to think, and I just want them to know. If it leads to them changing their mind or their perspective, I'm all for it. But I don't need Ron DeSantis. I don't need to change his mind. I'd like him to know what he doesn't, though. Because of what I've learned by engaging with people like that is that many of them only know what they know. There are people who only interact with other racial groups at work. There are people who had never, ever had interaction with other racial groups before they entered certain workspaces. Their only reality is what they've seen on TV or the news. Let's end it with this comment. Dr. Anthony Richardson says it's a balancing act. Free speech versus inciting violence. This issue is overridden by our ability to access the speeches of controversial figures. Reading Hitler's Mein Kampf or whatever, controversial figure, to put it mildly, helps a person understand the man, his thoughts, and how to combat figures like him. Indeed, absolutely, folks. We're going to take our final break. We got a daily play coming up. I think you all want to hang around for this daily play. All right, so stick with us. In the meantime, if you're streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, and make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues, because I believe people need access to these community conversations, not to change their minds or make them feel good, but to understand that people will disagree with us. And that's okay. But we also have the opportunity to respond to that disagreement in ways we choose. Stick with us, don't go anywhere.
Considering the increasing challenges faced by financial institutions, the need for insurance protection is a critical component of the risk management framework. At Friesenbrook, our priority is to safeguard your assets with the most optimal, cost-effective risk management cover to help protect your business, whether it be cyber, directors and officer liability, professional indemnity, or property insurance. Call us on 296-3600 to learn more about our full suite of competitive corporate insurance products. At Friesenbrook, we provide insurance you can count on.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda business starts here.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Noah's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need. From top quality foods to toys and supplies, we've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
PALS is a cancer care charity. We started 45 years ago. What started as a charity with a half-time nurse, and basically just assisting patients going home from the hospital, but patients dying at home. We now, 45 years later, have 6 nurses, a social worker, and a palliative care physician. I know a lot of people that watch the Daily Hour every day, so it's just educational. It helps you know more about specific charities or specific organizations, and kind of get the nitty gritty as opposed to just seeing a flyer on social media or just hearing or seeing a commercial. I think it's more beneficial. like if I'm on the radio or on TV, I'm just like telling you what I think you want to know. But you might have specific questions that I can answer directly. I think it's much better having the live engagement.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Thanks again to every last one of you for rocking with us this morning. Again, if you haven't already and you're streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you help us beat the algorithm so that as many people as you know have access to these most important community conversations as possible. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis and pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations on Hot 107.5. Folks, it is time for the Daily Play brought to you by Bermuda Trivia. Bermuda Trivia has released a very new sports edition. And right now, I'm going to let you know, we have also released a coloring book with facts about Bermuda for children. Last year, we had people asking something for the children. Well, we now have a coloring book. And we also, if you like to do crossword puzzles, have released a crossword puzzle book. But even more than that, another thing. Have you heard of Taboo? Well, we've released, excuse my language, Shoe Bite, which is Bermuda's version of Taboo. So a lot coming out for you to enjoy, engage, love, and learn about Bermuda. So there's a sports edition, a regular Bermuda Trivia Game sports edition. We have the coloring book for children. There is a crossword, Bermuda Trivia crossword book, and also Shoe Bite, which is Bermuda's version of Taboo. All of these will be limited edition, meaning there are literally only 100 copies. With the Shoe Bite, there is one box which will have a golden ticket. In that golden ticket, you will win a prize courtesy of One Communications. All right. So what you want to make sure you do is follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right. Today's trivia question has nothing to do with Bermuda. It's actually music, but also of things you should know. Here is the question, folks. Please no Googling, but I think you may have to Google this one, all right? The most watched video all time on YouTube is what? All right, no one's got it. It was not, I think he means Gangnam Style. It was not Thriller. It was not Charlie Bit Me. Yes, Stacey. I mean, she just rocks it, man. It was Baby Shark. Yeah, Baby Shark. I think that's the Baby Shark, baby shark. I think that's how it goes anyway. But yeah, it was uploaded in June of 2016, and as of 2025, has amassed 15 billion views. Now, I've got a question for you, audience. I'm going to give you another bonus. There's only one rap song in the top 10 most watched videos of all time. Do you know the artist or the song that's in the top 10 with 6.8 billion views all time? All righty. Well, I'll give it to you. So number one is Baby Shark. Number two, Despacito. Number three, Wheels on the Bus. Number four, The Bath Song. Don't know that one. Number five is all kid stuff like Johnny, Johnny, Yes, Papa. Number six, and this is the rap song, the most watched with 6.8 billion. It's going to shock you. Wiz Khalifa, See You Again. Yeah, it's the #1 rap song, most views ever on YouTube. Number 7, Phonics, Song with 2 Words. Don't know that. Number 8, Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. And to mark Arthur C. Phillips, Gangnam Style is number 9, the 9th most watched video all time, 5.7 billion on YouTube. And number 10, I thought this one may have been number 1, to be honest. Uptown Funk, Bruno Mars and Mark Ronson, with 5.68 billion views. All right. Yeah. Alrighty, folks, I've got to head out and let you go. But before I do, I'll give you something from The Journey Within, which is my book, which will be released very soon. And I'll share one of these quotes and affirmations. I'll just choose a page. I'll leave you with this. If you're so caught up on who you believe you are, you might have challenges becoming who you actually want to be. And that's from my book, The Journey Within. All right, folks. And if you want a copy, just send me a message, jamelhartman.com. You can send a message there, and I will, someone will get back to you. I'm not going to say I will, but someone will get in touch with you to let you know how you can purchase it. But anyway, folks, that's your daily inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.